Yeet.
Yeet. Did you just open with the? Did you just
I
open up our stream with a yeet?
I did, man, because I'm hip
Nice.
like that. Actually, it's
You're so
probably
hip,
so
man.
old school now. It's like 15 minutes old, so I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. You can't do yeets anymore.
I can't yeet. I can't dab. Dab is an elbow cough now. It's like, you can't.
Yeah.
But welcome. It's Don't Worry Wednesday. It's Don't Fret Friday,
Don't forget
actually,
Friday.
which is Don't Worry Wednesday Friday on Friday.
Don't worry
Alright.
Wednesday. Friday. Yes.
That's the one. Welcome.
Just
You
just
guys
don't make
made
it. Just don't make it Don't Friday because a lot of people like to fry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and if you make it Don't Friday, then yeah, a lot of people will be missing out on their good food.
Yeah, Tara has taken to calling it Don't Wet Friday, which could mean like don't wet your pants on Friday, which, hey, that could work.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. It's probably, good advice. Sage advice,
Yeah, it
right
would be the
there.
best.
Yes.
It would be for the best.
Yes, absolutely. But this is, hey, you know what? This is a show we do where we talk about problems, challenges, issues you might be going through. You can just post them in the chat there. Actually, just read what Princess just posted in the chat. Drop them in the chat. Go to the BSS website. You can email us www@bss.studio. You can click the link. You can direct message us on Discord. There's all kinds of stuff. Yes, lots of ways for you to get in touch with us to leave a topic. And yeah, this show is for you. We're not professional therapists, counselors, or policemen or anything like that. We just want to help you out in any way we possibly can, be your friend, offer some perspective along the way, maybe some advice, but mostly love and encouragement, and help you understand, whatever challenge you might be facing, it will pass. You're going to get to the other side of it. And on the other side of it, you're probably going to be a lot stronger than you were before. Because that's the great thing about the challenges that we face. If we go through them and we handle them, then on the other side, we're bigger and we're better than we were before. It's an amazing thing that happens. So yes, so our production team, Jesse, Princess, Senna, and the star of the show tonight is Ryan. He's expelling coffee from his lungs currently.
That's right.
So yeah, he took a big old he decided it'd be good to inhale while he was drinking coffee for some reason. Thought that'd be a good idea. So
yeah, it's not. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yep. Ryan is the handsomest of the BSS staff.
Handsome dance.
Because we've discovered down the Double Cup of Joe show that hair length is the indicator for handsomeness. Like that's the hair length is the thing. So Ryan is the most handsome person on staff at BSS.
Well, I know a lot of girls a lot more handsome than I.
Yes, that's true. However, Jeff is the second handsomest on staff. Myself and Steve, we kind of tie for last place because we're both bald. So
he's got more here though. Wow.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. But if I let my ear hair grow.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. You should. That'll make you super handsome.
Super.
Right your nose too. People love bushes right in the nose. They don't want it not mustaches, but they like the actual
the nose hair, just like that'd be fun.
Yeah.
The older you get, the more you gotta like handle that stuff. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the older you get, it's unfortunate because you lose the hair up here and you get the hair here and here. It doesn't make sense. It's like, body, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. You can stop. My nose isn't cold. My ears aren't cold. But the top of my head sure is. Because if you could grow some hair up there, that'd be nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like the hair retreats from your head and goes down into your face and comes out the sides and the front.
Yeah. I think that's what happens.
It's weird. It's weird. But hey, that's all good. So welcome everybody we're glad to have you here. We've got some topics, we've got some people, and we got some stuff to talk about. What do you think, Ryan? How are you
Yeah.
doing today now that you've
Let's do it.
are your lungs more awake now that you've caffeinated them?
I don't think I'm any more awake. I'm just I have this feeling all up in here and in my throat. Like I know that if I'm gonna talk for more than like 5 minutes at a time, I'm gonna start sounding like really like gargly.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like there's so much phlegm coming up right now from the coffee that I inhaled. I
so we're gonna
breathed
be like,
in.
what's wrong with your microphone? It's not your microphone at all.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be you.
Oh well. But
It's
yeah,
gonna
let's do
be
it. Let's do it.
your vocals.
No, it's not a burning sensation. Not at all whatsoever. It's just like a really, really phlegmy, deep phlegm that goes all the way down.
Tara, I could do 2 hours of percussion. That would be so fun. So fun.
Nice.
I've done it. It's a riot. It's a blast.
Mm.
So great.
If you want to know why I inhaled my coffee, I was encouraged by a yeehawing princess. A princess kind of galloped by and started to make donkey noises, and so I decided it was a good time
Like
to inhale my coffee.
imagine a donkey with the hiccups.
It was more like a donkey cup. A donkey cup. It was like a donkey cup. It's not yeehawing. You're right. It was a donkey cup, and that just encouraged my throat to go right into my cup of coffee. Because I had to make, I had to make the weird sounds too. Now we're here.
Yep. And we made it. So it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually go down the list. We've got a list of names here. I see some of you here in the chat right now, but anybody who, if you hear your name, you can say, was somebody you want to mom at? Something like that. The classic Don't Worry Wednesday phrase, word, whatever it is. So, all right, here it is. Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Rain Knight, Mark Anthony, JTJ, and Princess. Hyrule sounds like a chicken.
What?
Journey to Japan. Oh, Cherry. So Cherry and Journey to Japan are the same person. I think. Yes. Unless you've changed. So yes,
unless you've become a new person.
Both of your accounts have now shown up today. Or are we?
Or
yes.
Am we?
May Connie farewell, Sir Sweet. What?
Okay.
That's a topic in itself right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope she does.
Yes. So yeah, so of the people I see so far, we've got Journey to Japan and Princess here. I haven't seen anybody else yet. So what's up with your mom and dad? Jeff, you had a topic? Or are you just saying, oh, he's just saying, may Connie farewell, Sir Sweelad. Yes.
What's up with your mom and dad?
Gotcha.
No. Okay.
I was like, ha ha.
Yeah.
You're being tricky. Aha. I see. That's the second most handsome person on BSS staff right there.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. No one's more handsome than Hyrule.
Nice.
Who sounds like a chicken.
Yeah. So anyway,
Wait, chickens don't even have hair.
Huh?
Chickens don't have hair.
They got feathers.
Yeah. Are feathers actually made out of the same substance hair is?
Obviously not so at all.
Not the solid part, but the actual floppy part. Do you think that they're made of similar substance?
I don't think so. But you know what? Interestingly about chickens, I went to a Chinese restaurant And they had these things called Phoenix claws on the buffet table.
Oh yeah, I've had those before.
Did you like them?
Yeah, I mean they were. I liked them. I wouldn't order them again because they weren't so good that I would order them again. But I did like them.
Chicken feet.
Yeah,
I
chicken
was like,
feet that
I,
they like boiled forever.
yeah, and I was like, I ate them. I'm like, whoa, that's so weird. And like,
It's
yeah,
like 90% fat, dude. You should love it.
well, but I didn't really get much off it. It was mostly
Yeah,
just
no, there's
skin.
not much there. It's mostly just skin.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
was like, oh, okay, it wasn't bad, but I was like,
yeah.
I could, I don't have to order again. I tried it once. That was good. I'll try a lot of
Yeah,
things
I
at
think
once.
that's kind of how I felt about it too.
But yeah. So anyway, all right. So we got Journey to Japan. Are we doing 18 or are we doing Fallen Angel of the Apocalypse?
Whoa.
Which one? Ooh, Princess, pick one for us. Unless, hey, Journey to Japan, you can go ahead and let us know which one you'd like to do. The one that comes first is 18. And so I'm inclined to do the one that came first. But yeah. Oh boy, now we're having a chicken body part conversation in the chat. Gizzards. I had this coworker one time. He loved chicken gizzards. Like that was his big thing. He's like, I'm gonna go get a bag full of
Really?
gizzards. So
Really?
yeah. All right. So
Huh.
we're gonna do 18 here.
Okay. Let's do it.
Yes, we are going to do it. Oh, Princess just barely beat me. All
These are
right.
good, but the texture is in. Yeah, the texture is real weird. I've never even had it.
I'm sure they're probably good deep fried.
Never been offered. Never even seen one.
They got all kind. Man, there are places around here. They love them.
Oh yeah.
They
Well,
love them around here.
I believe it.
I've never had them before though. I'm not all that big of a fan of weird body parts, I guess. But yeah. All right. So here is the topic from Journey to Japan. It's called 18. And it goes like this. This whole issue began 7 years ago, possibly even when I was born. My life is full of so many changes constantly, and not small changes either. My birth wasn't planned. My birth parents weren't in love for true love and got divorced when I was only 3. My stepdad was in the army, as I've mentioned before, causing us to move constantly. The longest I've lived anywhere is in New York, which was for 4 years. I made many friends there, as I've mentioned before. We eventually moved, and I made more friends and lost more friends than I had ever made. My stepdad's abusive and manipulative actions caused my mom to divorce him, as I've also mentioned before. I'm now 18. For those who know me, this is all common knowledge by now. I used to be a horrible human being, as people have called me before. I used to be manipulative, as people have called me before. I used to be immature and socially inept and stupid, as people have called me before. Maybe that's because I didn't care where life took me. I did things for the sake of having fun, for the sake of making my life an interesting story. I had a dream, yes, but I knew it was far enough away for me to be able to take things for granted and do as I pleased without care. I didn't have to worry about responsibility. Now I've reached a point where it's time for me to start working towards my dream. I'm graduating in less than a month, May 16th. No more taking things for granted, wasting my time doing and saying whatever I please. There are certain things I must do to reach my dream. I can't stay here forever, as change calls once again, but this is the biggest change I've ever undergone and the biggest leap I've ever taken, and I'm scared. Time is brutal, pulling me into a state of reminiscence and memories, resurrecting past issues while bringing forth new ones. It's come to the point where I've questioned hurtling myself just for the hurting myself, sorry, just for the ability of feeling like how I felt back then. I miss youth and the ability to do as I pleased without worrying about consequence, filling my life with struggles for the sake of change. As weird as it sounds, I miss being in pain and I miss being depressed because it reminds me of youth. Nostalgia is a feeling I obsess over, and the formula for it is change itself. The reason I often mention and love New York is much because change occurred naturally there. We used to travel a lot, of course, but every season was extremely different. You have fall painting the mountains with a variety of colors: orange, red, and especially yellow, which was my favorite color as a child. Then the color would fade, everything would be brown, only for winter to come along and coat everything in white. I lived on the side of a mountain in New York, next to a much larger mountain and facing the Hudson River. When winter came, I'd go outside and be greeted by the massive mountain covered in snow, towering over me and the whole town. After winter, things would remain colorless once again, only for spring to liven everything up. It seemed like a rainforest because there was so much green and it often rained. Then summer came, and summer was always sunny. It was a nice time to go for walks and enjoy the moments before fall brought about change once again. In New York, change came naturally, and so nostalgia did too. When we moved from New York, however, that natural change stopped. Every season where I live is about the same as the last and the next. I had to take change into my own hands to bring nostalgia. I do things for the sake of the moment, not caring about the change. But now youth is dead, and I can't be who I was anymore. I can't take people for granted or do things to bring change. I have a path I've paved that I must take control and follow to fulfill my dream. I enjoyed the memories I made up until this point, and I don't regret them at all. I love them, all the good times and the bad times. They were beautiful, but it feels as though time took it all away from me too quickly. I simply can't get back to who I was while staying on the path to this dream that I wish to fulfill. Sorry if this post was confusing to understand or follow along with. And that's from Journey to Japan. Wow, thank you so much for the post. I can relate to this, and um, it's it's interesting, as we approach new times, new changes, new adventures in our life. It's crazy. We do look back and reminisce, and recently I've been doing this too because there's a new chapter opening up for me and Steve, one of the other staff members at BSS, and so naturally my mind kind of wanders backwards a little bit and kind of thinks back to all a bunch of times that I'd had before, and it's I think that's kind of natural. But while we long for those days of past fun times or that nostalgia, as you put it, um, the real excitement I've learned to find that the real excitement is in the future adventure that's coming. Because really, wow, that you're going to create future nostalgia with your new adventures. You're going to create new memories that you can look back on later with fondness, like you do now. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because he's supposed to start anyway.
Yeah,
So,
because I'm
Ryan.
supposed to start. Let's do it. I agree.
Take it away, Ryan.
Yeah. So yeah, this is again, this is interesting. Nostalgia is an interesting feeling. It's a strange feeling. Now maybe not everybody here has experienced nostalgia, but it's likely that you guys have. The older you get, I think it's kind of weird. Nostalgia usually hits around the age of, I don't know, say 16 to 25 for a lot of people, and then it kind of just goes away. And by that I mean you can be nostalgia, but the emotion isn't as hard hitting. And I think it's one of those things where when we're a kid, right, we experience nostalgia. No, sorry. When we were a kid, we experience a lot of things. And because they're the first time or the second time or third time, they hit hard. But when we're like around the age of 18 and stuff, we have the first time of experiencing the emotion that is nostalgia. And so all of a sudden it's this feeling that's overwhelming. And we haven't had an overwhelming feeling since we were like 8. So it's like, boom, whoa, this is crazy. It hurts. Yeah, we cling to it. It's strange. It's beautiful. It's reminiscing of good times or even bad times. And it's just this overwhelming feeling. Eventually, the more we experience that nostalgia, just like anything with any emotion, it starts to calm. It starts to not be so intense. Um, it kind of reminds me in a way of like an emotional high. You know, when you fall in love with somebody and you're just overwhelmed and you can't stop thinking about them, you start to lose control of logical decisions, um, doing what's right, and you even do bad things to get what you want. You pretend to be someone you're not. You sit there and you like literally like daydream and all of that kind of stuff for hours and hours on end. Look at pictures of the person or whatever for no good reason. It's not helping doing anything except for you're staring at the picture for hours. It's kind of like nostalgia. You do like I remember doing that when I was experiencing nostalgia. And it was fascinating in a way. It was a new thing. It was wonderful in a way, but it was also painful. Um, for me, a lot of that was like I think a lot of it was there was a lot of different things, but I remember like one of the bigger ones was Ragnarok Online. Of course, that was a big game in my life. It was a big game changer for me. One of the pivoting points or one of the pivotal points in my adventure so far. Um, just everything that happened, everything that it taught me. And I remember experiencing different parts of it and just like going back to experience, finding on my computer files that were like, well, this doesn't sound that old, but it was like 4 years old, right? Now, 16 to 18, that's a big jump. You know, if I say 4 years old now, that's like nothing to me. You know, 4 years ago isn't isn't that big of a jump because I'm 30 now. Um, and it kind of flies by. But I remember experiencing it, and I just remember sitting there and like looking over the screenshots I had of the game, turning on the music and just listening to the music and almost crying and just going like, man, I miss this so much. Like I didn't even think I missed this until like randomly I happened upon these pictures and I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, whoa, I need to spend like all day looking at these and feeling overwhelmed. Or even all week, and then I just go to YouTube and I flip on a song and I'm like, yeah, I remember this song. Man, man, I remember sitting in the game in the town, chilling, talking to these people. Oh, I remember that guy. He was so funny. I remember, I remember when I met my girlfriend, and all of these things. I remember we used to venture out into a dungeon. We'd kill some monsters for a couple hours. And I remember the conversations we had and all this stuff, right? Good stuff. Good stuff. That's to celebrate with. Yeah, it's painful, right? It's painful, but it's a joyful pain. It's hard to describe because you're there and you're like, why am I wasting my time here? It hurts, but I can't stop. And I think that's because the pain is good. It's like a hurt so good kind of feel. It's like a joyful pain. And I think that those are there for a reason, right? Those are moments that impacted our lives critically. The way we think, the way we act, the way we've evolved is to become what we are now. Those are good and they're to be remembered. But there's another side of that coin, and that is along the same vein of the emotional high, because it is an emotional high. That's what nostalgia is. It's that emotional, like, bam, it's overpowering. And it makes you lose sight of things. Just like you can get carried away in a relationship that's really unhealthy for you, you can do the same thing to nostalgia. And so I urge you to reap the joy of those moments, but don't get so carried away as to think those times were better than now, because they're not. I know when I think back about those moments, I'm like, ah, that was beautiful. That was bliss. You know, there was all these things. And then I really think back and I start to realize those moments, I remember so well all of the good things going on. And that's good. But I also know that was filled with a lot of crappy moments that my mind has put in the garbage can and taken it out to the curb. Because I can go back to that curb if I dig far enough. And I'm like, and someone in the dumpster of thought pile, and go like, oh yeah, that was going on at that time. That was not good. Yeah, oh, that's where I was at that time. I was not very good. You know, wow, I had a lot of things to grow up and become better at. You know, those are there, but our brains have siphoned that out, which is good. But my whole point of saying that is, don't get carried away so as to think that then was better than now. There is no time better than now, because now is where you get to make your choices with the wisdom that you've gained from the past, right? And you can make your life into what you want to shape it to be. You can never go back. And that is wonderful. I never want to go back. I am so glad it is as it is. And you should be too. There's no reason to go back. There's that feeling of, man, I wish I could experience that again. But honestly, it'd be a waste of time, because you've already learned what you needed to from those moments. Or if not, you can still learn from them without having to go back and experience them again. I would say just keep moving forward. Enjoy those moments when you think of them, but don't get carried away, because your future is going to be awesome.
Mhm.
There's plenty more memories to make, and they're going to be just as sweet, just as sweet as apple pie. But you got to make it. You got to make it and bake it, man. Make and bake that sweet apple pie and consume it. Takes effort, but you can do it, man. Anyways, I'm going to moving on to Joe. Hey, that was a metaphor. So yeah, that was not really much of a metaphor at all. Sorry, today's topic on Double Cup of Joe was metaphors.
Yes.
So anyways,
It was a lot
go
of
for it,
fun.
Joe.
Yeah, so Natsukashi Traveler, as you have a new name, you've got awesome names. Says, I think my dream is more of creating new memories like New York, where I live somewhere completely different for a brand new experience to bring more memories, thus bringing more nostalgia eventually. Yes. So that's very true. One of the things I want to shift your focus to, when you're thinking of these memories, when you're remembering this stuff and you're experiencing this nostalgia and everything, I mean, it evokes some great feelings. Really does, like Ryan was talking about. And it can be a roller coaster of feelings. It can be like great feelings. It can be painful feelings. It can be all kinds of stuff, right? But the thing to remember, and this comes from Maxwell Maltz's book, the Psycho-Cybernetics, where you have a powerful mind. You have been blessed with a very powerful subconscious mind that can create vivid images. And when you're remembering these things, it's vivid. You feel what you felt back then. You see it, you can remember smells, you can remember the sounds that were there, you can remember whether it was warm, like when you would walk out of your house and you would see you would see the mountain in New York, and you would see that towering over you, and it's snow covered and beautiful, and then you're talking, there was so much vivid description in your post. I can tell those memories are dear to you. I can tell that you've spent some thought time re-experiencing those again and again and again. Those times, you've gone back there in your thoughts. Did you know that you can imagine new memories that haven't even happened to you yet? And your subconscious mind will treat them as if they are real, which is very interesting. And it's a powerful thing to do, especially as you're going on a new adventure. You're talking about this adventure. I mean, you spelled it out on the last episode, a lot of your steps along the way of getting to Japan, which I think is awesome. You've taken it, like we were talking about last time, you've done a backwards planner where you're like, okay, this is where I'm going to end up. And you've made a step-by-step process from the time you're at now to the time that you're going to be there. And that's a very, very powerful thing. So here's one thing you can do. Imagine being there in Japan. What's it smell like? What's it taste like? What's it look like? What's it feel like? What's it sound like? Wrap all those feelings into it. And then what's going to feel so good about being there? What is it about being there? This new thing that hasn't even happened yet, but you're creating the visualization in your mind. You're creating what this experience is already in your mind. What's going to feel so good about it? And ask yourself that question. Is it going to be the feeling of accomplishment, like you made it finally? You went through all these things to get there and you finally achieved the thing you were looking for? Is that going to be the thing that feels good? Is it going to be all the new friends you have there? Is it going to be the fact that you've created a new life for yourself? And so now, like a lot of the old stuff, I remember I so much wanted a different life than the one I had in high school, because I had a hard time in high school. I got picked on a lot, and there was all kinds of craziness, right? But it was hard. And I can remember I just wanted a totally new life. But then, like you, I was experiencing the nostalgia, and I was like, because I don't know if that was because I was afraid to move on, but I was clinging to that old way of life. I think because it was familiar to me. And that's something that we do. And I had a hard time embracing the new adventure for a long time. But when I learned that I can visualize the way I want my life to be, and I can make it real in my mind. And then what happens is your mind starts to treat it as if it was real. And it starts to automatically do things and set things up to make that really happen. You start to live as if that's your reality. And it's amazing because that kind of automatically makes you do the things necessary in order to bring that life into existence. That's why visualizing things are so important. I remember hearing a story about a guy. He was an auto mechanic by trade, and he had built businesses, and he was fairly successful, and he had quite a bit of money, but he still had this thing for cars. Like, he loved working on cars. He loved, doing all kinds of stuff, working in his garage and everything. And when you got a lot of money, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So what he did was he decided he was going to take like a 1967 Corvette, a classic old Corvette, looking awesome. And he was going to take all the new stuff from a new Corvette, the engine and all this stuff, and he's going to like put it in this old Corvette and somehow make it work. Right? So he basically had to take apart this 67 Corvette and get all the parts from a new Corvette and try and fit them all in there properly and get it all to work, right? And he was talking about how this was such a challenge. And it, as it would normally be, I mean, they totally are built different now than they used to be. Like, it's crazy. And so like, he had to somehow get all this to work. And he finally eventually did it, but he said it was so hard. And there were times, the times that got him through, because he just kept running into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, you know, with this whole thing. Like he'd have to stop and he'd have to go back to the drawing board and figure it out again. And in those moments when it was really getting hard, what he would do is he still, like, the inside of the car still looked the same, still looked like the 67 Corvette. And he would sit in there. All the rest of it's all taken apart, right? But he would sit in the seat and he would hold on to the steering wheel and he would close his eyes and he would just imagine what it was going to be like when all of it was done, that the new engine, all the new stuff was in place, and he was cruising down the road in this Corvette that he had rebuilt. And he just imagined that he would take that time and just imagine, what's it going to be like? What's it going to feel like? How's it going to feel when I go around these curves? You know, what's the, you know, responsiveness of the brakes going to be? You know, how's the engine going to sound as I rev it with, you know, with the gas pedal and stuff? So he just imagined all of these different aspects of this. And what happened was, even though it's not like, on Double Cup of Joe, we covered the law of attraction. I think the magic in the law of attraction basically says, if you imagine something and you think about it strongly enough, the universe will give it to you. I think the magic in the law of attraction is, if you imagine things vividly enough and you think about it and you focus and you get this picture in your head about all that stuff, what it does is it makes you think of the ways that are going to make it necessary. It's not the universe giving it to you. It's that you're creating a future memory and you're living into it and you're taking action and you're doing the things necessary in order to make it real. But it all starts with that visualization. And I love that you're talking about memories. I love that you're talking about nostalgia, because you can do the same thing in the forward direction, but you hold the pen. You hold the paintbrush. You can create it however you want. It's incredible. So I'd encourage you, try it. With the same force that you think of past memories, create a new memory and imagine it as vividly as you imagine something in your past. And see where you start to go as a result. You know, it's amazing. Like, you might shift gears, you might change directions a little bit, you might adjust course, you might have new ideas on how to do things. I mean, it's amazing when you start to do this, you start to notice things that you didn't notice before. You start to come up with ideas. You're like, where did that idea come from? You know, and it's all because your new focus is this future life that you are now living in your subconscious mind. It's a beautiful thing. Ryan wrote a whole song about it, called Feed the Elephant, about the power of your subconscious mind. This is a long time ago, but yeah, it's really cool. So anyway, that's about what I got. Ryan, what else do you have?
Yeah, you know, one of the ways that you were talking about, it's what you think about. It's not that the world attracts or like catches what you're thinking about and then gives it to you. Another way to say that that I thought was good was when you think about when the more you focus on something, the more your mind is creating a habit to focus on it. The more you spend time focusing on something, the more it'll start to pop out to you in opportunities in the world. Not because the opportunities are now being more provided, but because now your mind is starting to see them. A good example of this, obviously, you can relate to this in some degree. You're in a car, right? And you're driving around, and you don't really pay attention to the cars around you. You're just driving, you know. Then you go out and you buy a certain kind of car, like a Corvette. You start driving around in your Corvette, and all of a sudden you notice, hey, there's a lot of other people driving Corvettes. So you didn't notice until you bought one, because now your mind is actually focused on the fact that you own a Corvette, and now you're looking who else owns one. It's not like the world saw you buy one and gave everybody else one. It's more like now because you bought one, you're starting to notice it around you. Now that you've been made aware, you're starting to find opportunities. You're starting to see things. And that happens in everything in life. So it is important what we use our minds to focus on. If we use our minds to focus on negative things, right, then we're going to create that habit. If we're choosing, right, if we're giving a choice to think about, okay, I can think about this thing, or I can think about this thing, right? And this thing is negative, we're actually programming our minds to be more negatively focused, to find more negative things in the world and focus on them. And that makes us feel bad, feel down, feel negative. A lot of times that's the reason why people feel like everything falls apart at once. Because suddenly something happens and something bad happens, and then they start to notice all the other bad things going on around them, and they all stack up and add up. But what's interesting is those things were already there a lot of the times, or they were already going to happen, but because their mind is in a state of noticing, now they notice them and they make a bigger difference to them. So alternatively, if you realize that that's the truth, if you realize what I spend my time fawning over, what I spend my time thinking about, what I spend my time using my brain, what's occupying the space in my brain, right? If I figure out what that is, and I get a choice of what that is, why not use that to our advantage to make our lives better, right? So if we spend more time thinking about the future, right? Like you're doing, spending more time thinking about what am I going to do when I get there? Planning it out like you have been. If you spend time imagining it, even living it to some degree by watching videos online, right? The more you do that, the more your brain is going to associate and notice opportunities that lead you in that direction. A lot of times, okay, so the opportunities are always there, whether we are thinking about it or not, right? But a lot of times what happens is we don't need like one opportunity that'll suddenly get us there. It's the mentality of we are going to get there no matter what. Because getting anywhere in life is a path, and we have to take all sorts of routes that we don't expect. Sometimes we're just put on a route and we find out later, hey, that led us here. That's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It led you there by design, but you didn't understand at the time because it looked like something that was unrelated. But you turned that unrelated thing back into the path. It's like taking a detour to go to gas station, come back on the highway, right? Like when I was doing a part-time job or a full-time job, working Taco Bell or at a bakery or at doing inspections, building cabinets, or any of the other jobs I've had. That has nothing to do with music. But you know what? While I was there, a lot of times I was humming to myself. A lot of times I was thinking about my songs that I'm going to work on when I get back home.
Mhm.
A lot of times it was just building up money so I can support myself while so that when so I can have a computer to work on, when I get home to write songs. And so I take whatever's along my path and I allow it to fuel my fire to go where I'm trying to go. Right? So the more time we spend thinking about that path, the more time we'll realize ways to use everything to our advantage, to taking us where we want to go.
Mhm.
Because no matter what obstacle hits you, there's always a way to navigate it back to the major plan, back to what am I trying to do with my life? Where am I going? And I think that programming your mind to think of those things will make you faster and better at achieving those things. But you got to spend time doing that, right? Sometimes that means you're feeling nostalgic and you're like thinking about something and you're like, it's an interesting feeling. It's kind of like depressing, but also joyful at the same time. And I'm overwhelmed, all of this kind of stuff. It isn't doing anything for me in my future. So I'm going to take a break from that. I'm going to turn that music off or, close those pictures or just stop thinking about it with my brain. Go over here and start imagining what life is going to be like so that I can make sure my brain is focused on the future and not the past, because the past is not where I'm going. I'm going somewhere. So that's what I've got to add on. It was just a adaptation of what Joe was saying, but yeah, that's what I felt like I wanted to talk about. I was being called to say. So there you go. What do you got, Joe? Anything else?
That's pretty much it. That was really cool. What you were talking about. And I like how you expanded on the stuff I was talking about. The truth of the matter is for you, Cherry or JTJ or Natsukashi Traveler, however you want to be called at any given time, you have a powerful mind that is capable of creating a life for you. Now, you will work to do it. You will do activity in order to make it happen. But the mindset is going to be the key. What you're envisioning, what you're visualizing, that's what's going to give you the energy to do it. It's what's going to help you notice the things you need to take advantage of in order to do it. The more you spend thought time there, looking towards the future, looking towards your goals, and you get a big clue. I love that you talked about nostalgia. I love that you talked about looking back, because you take that same principle of what you're doing to have those vivid memories in your past, and you put them into your future. What you're doing is you're creating memories. You're creating future memories in your mind, and your subconscious just latches right onto them and starts treating them like as if they exist. I remember for a long time, I smoked cigarettes for like 12 years or something like that, right? And so when I quit, there was this program that I had bought, and it had in there a program of self-hypnosis. And that was the thing that really got me over the hump, because I would sit down and I would just for like 20 minutes or half an hour, and I'd do this meditation where I'd do some deep breathing, I'd focus, and start to visualize my life, what my life would be like as a non-smoker, right? And just those types of images in my head of what it would be like to be a non-smoker in that deep meditative state, right? Making it really, really vivid. All your senses involved, right? What's it feel like? What's it smell like? What's it taste like? All that stuff, right? 2 weeks after doing that, I felt like I had never, ever been a smoker, ever. And I had been a smoker for 12 years. 2 weeks of self-hypnosis with visualization, powerful, vivid visualization, created a whole new life for me. It's amazing. Your mind is so powerful. You have no idea. You are barely scratching the surface of it. And, you know, as you plumb the depths of this, I think you're going to find that you're capable of a lot more than you might think. And I'm impressed with you. And I think I'm excited for you. And I'm excited to see where you go. So I hope that you're here with us for a long time. And we can see your journey unfold. So thank you so much for the post. And please keep us updated on all this stuff. I'm sure you will. You're awesome. So anyway, thank you so much for the post. We should probably move on now, don't you think, Ryan?
Yeah. Thank you, Cherry. You're amazing, and we appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go back through the list again. It's a good question. Princess would probably be next. I'm going to go through the list just to see if someone's here. The list is Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Man Left Behind, Eric Bodine, Caffrey, Rain Knight, and Mark Anthony. If you have just heard your name, do a what's up, what are you, mama, that? Or you can do a dab cough in the thing, or you can, well, do the emoji, right?
Yeah.
That one. Because I can't actually see you do a dab cough.
That's true.
If you just do it, I can't actually see you. You can see me do mine, but I can't see you.
Is that all right if we call it a kadab?
A kadab?
Yeah, because it sounds like a kebab, which is a shish kebab.
Cut.
But it's a cough and a dab, so it's a kadab. I like calling it a kadab.
Okay,
it reminds me of Flight of the Conchords.
Throw yourself a kadab in there.
Yeah, throw a kadab.
So, yes. Wait, no, that's coffee, not water. No. All right. So yeah, so here we go. We're gonna do princesses. Princess has posted a topic about different perspectives, and I'm gonna post a link before Princess does. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
No.
Oh well.
Bum me out.
I was gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna post it.
I'm gonna do it anyways.
Oh wait, no, that's the last one. So sorry.
Nice.
Okay. Boy, I'm really good at this. You can tell. There, look at that. I win.
Yeah, you won. You got it first.
First try.
First try. Neither of those things are true. That's great.
Name that movie. First try.
Lego movie?
Yes.
Yes. I got one. Finally.
You win. You know all the kids'
Actually,
movies because you got nieces and nephews.
Yeah. That's actually why I know it. It is absolutely true.
Yes. So awesome. Well, this is called Different Perspectives, and it's from our lovely Princess. And it reads as follows. Perhaps it's just communication issues. Perhaps it's where they are at in life. Either way, there's a disconnect between my parents and I. It seems that all the conversations we have are about going back to work, and working is a requirement to being allowed to stay at their house. And for me, it's overwhelming to have them constantly pushing that agenda while I'm trying to float this semester of classes. Worst of all, my stepmom seems to talk as if I have no interest in my future. I don't understand. The person who knows it the most and frets over it the most is me. I understand what I need to do and what needs to happen to get there. And I know that there are lots of unknowns that I have to fill as I get more information. And the one who lives with the consequences is me. It's my life. I know that they want to help. I know they just want me to be on a good path and to be happy. They told me that they worry that I won't understand what it is like to have to live without having resources to fall back on. That's because of my possibilities that they haven't pushed me and my sister hard enough. Because of this, they see that as part of the reason that my sister isn't a functioning person according to society and is being coddled by my mom. They told me that I am not my sister, but that my generation doesn't know how to work hard. And it almost seems that they apply that to me, assuming that I don't work as hard as adults do. I understand that I'm privileged. I have gotten many gifts and burdens that others don't have because of what I have, even if I don't fully grasp it. I try to be respectful of the opportunities, yet it seems like they think I'm spoiled and need to work like an adult works, and that my summer job was like working 2 hours a day. That isn't true, though perhaps she saw it that way because I don't get up as early as her and I was sometimes home before her. Part of that is because of the restrictions of my job being 30 hours at most, so that's 6 hours over 5 days. Anyway, my stepmom said, "Are you ready to go back to work in 3 weeks after finals?" And I was thinking, like, are you asking if I have asked work to work right after final? Are you assuming that I am in a space to have that already in this moment while I'm swamped by schoolwork? I mean, a while back I had gotten in touch with them, but I'm not ready to be thinking about that. And I must have emotionally reacted. And perhaps I hurt her without meaning to because of my schoolwork fears. Because she responded by leaving the table, saying, "I'm sorry that I was trying to create conversation and think about your future." If this was for conversation, then why do when I share something important to me, she just dismisses it early and moves on without truly listening to me, without taking the time to hear me out, to care about what I care about for more than 1 minute. Sigh, I hope perhaps that if I understood it better, maybe I would be able to handle it better. Yet they just see my anxiety as trauma, which maybe is where it began, but at the same time isn't quite it either. I don't know what to think about this. Any words of perspective? Yes, princess. And first of all, understand that we love you and understand that, all of this stuff. I mean, it can really make you feel like less of a person. It can really make you feel, when these types of situations occur, you're already feeling overwhelmed. You've got, somebody they're basically throwing some expectations on you, and part of it maybe is they just don't understand people skills, possibly, and so they're not thinking in terms of, how somebody might be feeling. They're just kind of they're grasping at some kind of straws to do that, to you know try and create a conversation. I can understand that. um but from your perspective, you're overwhelmed by schoolwork. You got to go through this time period of being at school remotely, so you're not even at school, but you're in school and you've got to deal with all that, and I know that's not easy. So it sounds to me like there's some tension here that's outside of the situation that's affecting the situation. And that just makes things a lot more difficult. So hopefully, through what Ryan says, you'll gain some perspective because, yeah, I'm interested to hear what Ryan has to say.
Me too. Yeah, what do I say? So I got a couple of things right at the top of my head. First of all, I mean, of course, your parents want the best for you. I think Joe isn't incorrect when he says maybe they don't know people skills very well. They haven't studied that. They would have no reason to. Most people never do. So when they try to make conversations, it's really about them and not about you. And that makes it weird because they were never taught that it can go the other way around. So it's just the way it is. Sometimes you just have to pardon people, if you will. You have to be like, okay, they just don't know better. Even though it's just a burden to me. All it is a burden to me, but you know what? They don't know any better. The best I can do for them is just endure it. At the same time, your parents, obviously also know things. They've lived lives longer than me and you. And they are fearful, not without reason, but perhaps to an unreasonable extent. I know that, any parent, most parents get worried about their child when it comes to work, when it comes to when they're leaving college. Conversations tend to go this way. It did for me, it did for my brother. And it's interesting because, my mom would say back a long time ago when my brother was in college, she was worried for him, right? And then once he graduated college, well, he never graduated. Once he quit college, because he was going to be a math major, and then he finally came to his senses and said, wait, what kind of job can I get doing a math major? And then he was like, I don't want any of those jobs. Get me out of here. I just like math. I don't want any of those things. They're terrible. Like, I'm not a teacher. That's like the best opportunity I have as a math major at this point. And he was like, I don't want that. So he left. My mom hated that with a passion. Like, she argued with him for years about it. She would not let that go. But you know what? What's funny is she eventually did. Not that she thinks it's a bad idea to go to college, and because she still does. She thinks that it'd be a good idea if Kyle went back and got his major. But she realized it didn't matter because Kyle's still making his way. Kyle has a family. And most of all, and far more important, literally, absolutely most importantly, Kyle has faith. Kyle has good where it counts. Kyle's a good human being. Kyle's a holy human being, right? My mom, okay, so I have my mom, and my mom is married to my stepdad. His name is Jim. Okay. Now, Jim has 2 children. My mom has 2 children. She has 2 boys. He has 2 girls. The 2 girls, they went and Senna, I read that wrong. I thought you said, hey, my name is Jim. And I'm like, no, it's not, Senna. I know your name is not Jim. Like, what the? Sorry, that totally distracted me because I read it wrong. Oh, your dad's name is Jim. Okay. His 2 daughters, they aren't extremely successful, but they went to school, right? And they have good paying jobs. One of them is a nurse to some extent, perhaps even higher than just a regular nurse. She makes a good amount of money. And the other one is in like some kind of other schooling. I don't even know, maybe even law school or something. I can't remember, whatever it is. Either way, they both make a fair amount of money. And because of this, she realized that she would rather have her kids be happy than have money. Because neither of them are, well, one of them is kind of happy, but, she's got a lot of things that go wrong that aren't really that big of a deal, and the other one is even more so on that tangent, right? Neither of them have faith or believe in God anymore. They used to. They don't anymore. And they just aren't that happy with their lives. And they're trying to look to success for that happiness, right? All parents with time come to realize, all parents who care about their children. I wish I didn't have to say that.
It's
But
true, though.
anyways,
Yes, it's true.
Eventually, what I'm trying to say is this phase that they're going through and this phase that you're going through with them passes, whether you succeed or whether you fail. Why? Because eventually you just have to come to accept it is what it is. And if my child is happy, like, good. Like, then we did our jobs. That's more important than my child being depressed. My child getting a job and then hating themselves, hating everything in the world, even though they have money. Or my job, or them getting a job and then having a lot of money and still having no money because they use all of their money to try to find happiness and they just cannot. And I can tell you that is like 95% or greater of most people's lives who have any amount of financial success. It's almost 99%. People who have success, like people with more money, have more spending problems and they end up broke as someone who doesn't have money. In our society today.
Yeah.
People with more money just have more things to deal with because they have more things for bills, and they're trying to, like, they go to like shop all the time, buying stuff online. Oh, that looks really cool. I'll buy that TV. Oh no, I don't have the money for it, but I'll get the money for it in like 3 years. Wait, no, I got that car too. Okay, make it 7 years. I'll have that paid off. But it's okay because at least I get it and I get to use it now, and it's probably gonna be broke before I ever pay it off, and that's okay. Like, that's normal for people. That shouldn't be normal, but it's normal for people. Okay. So all that said, again, is to say there are things that are important in life, and they'll come around to see it. You just have to be patient with them through this time. You can do your best to respect them and stay calm and say, yeah, you're right. And just let them freak out because they're going to. You want to know why they're freaking out? Like, you don't want to know why they're saying all these things? Because they're freaking out. They don't know what to do with themselves because they don't have control over something they are deadly worried about. And that is you. They can't control you. And they're just like telling you all these things you should do because they want to control you because they think that they can make you happy if you do what they say. Because they want your happiness and they think they know what that is. And so they're like, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. You're not working hard enough. You're going to grow sloppy. You're going to grow lazy and you're going to hate yourself. You got to do that. You got to do that. And they're trying to help you avoid all the dangers that they've fallen in and the scary things that are going on in society. I mean, it doesn't help that right now a lot of people are unemployed, and that's probably on their mind as well. All these people, like, during the coronavirus, and it's really unfortunate. And I'm no way just trying to pass by that and say it's no big deal, because it's a big deal. But all these people are out of their jobs. And so that's going to be on their mind. They're like, oh no, my daughter, what is she going to do? You know, she had a job lined up. If she doesn't, it's going to be really, really, really hard to find one because all these other people are going to be looking for jobs. And then my daughter's going to be left without a job. My daughter's got to get on that. Okay, I got to go talk to her. You look, daughter, you got to go find your job. You got to get in there. My mom would do that. Your mom would do that. Everybody's moms and dads do that. It's like normal. They're freaking out. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. You just go, all right, they're freaking out. Cool. You know, I'll let them say what they need to say. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything. All those words, like, I already know all those things. They don't have to tell me. They're just freaking out because they're so worried about something they can't control that the only thing they can do is talk to you about all of their worries and problems that are going on in their head and try to force you to do those things so that they can stop worrying about it. Problem is, it's not about them. It's not their life. But it's not going to be possible to show them that until you live it. And that will just take time. At least that's my point of view from it. So hopefully some of that allows you to just be patient with them. And when they freak out, you can stay calm and just listen to them. And then when they're done talking, they'll be like, they'll say something and they'll be like, you don't care what I say. You don't care what I say. Obviously you don't care what I say because you're just sitting there listening. You're not even listening. And then you'll be like, no, I'm listening. And I get exactly what you're talking about. I just don't really have a whole lot to say to it because you're right. Or because I think differently about that. Or because I'm not someone you have to worry about or whatever, you know, but it's just emotions are high and it's just the way it is. So you just have to be patient, listen, put up with it, and then carry on. Anyways, let me get over to Joe, see what he's got to say about it.
Man, I'm going to tell you to go back and listen to what Ryan said like 10 times. I'm going to go back and listen to what Ryan said. like seriously, there is some wise words there. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Because you're so right, Ryan.
It's the Holy Spirit. I wasn't even here.
Yeah. You know, I think Ryan is so right. It just the whole dynamic of what's going on here is so right. And I think one of the things, I mean, Princess, you have so much going for you. You have faith. You know, you have an attitude of trying. You have an attitude of commitment. You really do. You know, I've seen it in your commitment to just your commitment to Don't Worry Wednesday. You know, your commitment to helping us keep all of our topics in order, to helping all the people in the chat, to the compassion that you feel for other people, you know, as we go through these topics. And like I know that I've spoken with you about some of these topics and you've helped me get my head, you know, get my head on straight about some of this, and you know how people are, you know, partly because you know you might know them from different from like Discord or something, you know, so you know a little bit more about them, and so you can't, but you have a heart for other people. And so I know you can have a heart for your family members as well. And sometimes that's what makes this so painful, because you do have a heart for these people. You have strong emotional ties. You know, you want things to go well. You want them to be happy with who you are, right? I mean, we all want that. But here's something, there's a few things that I've learned. And I want to encourage you to follow what Ryan was talking about. You know what it is that, you know, you want to be doing to some degree. And for you to follow that is going to be a key to your satisfaction in life overall. It's so crazy because, you know, I don't know. Ryan talked about 99% of people who have financial success just, you know, they try to find their fulfillment in using their money to get stuff. And it's so true. Because what's the point of the money? We can survive on less money than we think we need. We really can. So let's take a look at things, right? You said that there's some kind of ultimatum here, maybe, that if you don't get a job, you're not going to be allowed to stay at the house. Okay. I want you to go there in your mind. What would happen if you got kicked out of the house? What would you do? You don't have to write it in the chat. You don't have to tell me about it. You don't have to tell Ryan. You don't have to tell anybody. You just, in your mind, go there. What would you do? Ryan's been kicked out of the house before. He found a place to live. Worked out great. You know, everything was fine, you know, and things have moved on. And maybe it might not be exactly the life that his mom envisioned for him at that time. But like he said, over time, you know, the emotion around it changes, and people start to understand that just having a job that gives you a whole bunch of money, having some kind of a financially successful career, that's not the thing that brings you fulfillment. It's not. So, a couple things. One, take the long view. And I've said this a lot of times on this show. I've said it on Double Cup of Joe as well, but taking the long view of your life is so important. Stephen Covey calls it the funeral test. He says, okay, imagine you're at your own funeral. And what are you going to want people to say about you?
I will be at my own funeral. I'll be laying there in a coffin.
You will.
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Imagine what that day is going to be like. What do you want people to talk about? You know, what kind of life do you want them to remember you having? And then try and line things up for that. I would take it a step further and think eternally speaking, you know, being a person of faith like you. It's amazing. When you take that long of a view, the eternal long view, things get real simple.
Yeah, they get really simple, and they just everything starts to make like it's like, oh, I just do that. Then the hard choices become I could do this good thing or that good thing, and you're just like, oh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It gets so simple. You're right.
Yep. So and a peace comes over when you realize that you're on the track for the long view. All these things in the short term start to they become like little bumps. And like Ryan was talking about, they're freaking out right now. And that it's normal. A lot of people are freaking out right now for many different reasons. And all of our parents do the same thing, you know, at the age that you're at and in the circumstances you're in and everything like that. A lot of times people freak out. It's okay. So I want to encourage you really, really seriously. Find the book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Either on Audible or Amazon or something, or an ebook or something. I'm telling you.
Isn't it Coelho?
Coelho.
Yeah. I don't remember now.
Yeah, you just posted the link for you to get
there you
it. Go. Good job.
Yeah, it's
That
Portuguese.
book,
It's Coelho.
Brazilian. Yeah, Portuguese. They speak that down there, right?
Yeah, Portuguese. Brazilians speak Portuguese. Yeah, they go
Yeah.
BR, but they actually speak Portuguese.
Yep. But that book tells us how to make gold from P. No. From
No,
lead,
it's not
though.
that type of alchemist.
You need that. It is that type of alchemist, actually.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It's a story. It's you know, it's like a and the alchemist does have the philosopher's stone and the elixir of life and everything. He's found that. The alchemist in the story has found all that. So
nice.
So, but it's not P.
Yeah, that's why I was not working out, Akil.
Yes, part of it is hard because I'm emotional too, Princess says. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I'm encouraging you to take the long view. Because what that's going to do is that's going to smooth out some of the emotion for you. You're not, when you think in terms of 3 weeks from now, when finals ends, I need to have a job or I'm kicked out of the house, like that type of urgency right there, that's going to cause the stress, and the emotional level is going to go through the roof. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why are you bothering me with this? I'm trying to study for my finals, and I'm dealing with all this classes stuff, and I'm trying to do online classes and I hate it. And I'm trying to, get ready for finals, and you're just throwing this on there like right away. Like I can understand how inside when you're there focused, it's like you want to burst. But when you can take out, when you can look farther down the road than 3 weeks, even if you take a year from now, that'll smooth things out. 10 years from now, even more. 50 years from now, makes 3 weeks from now look like it was nothing. It was just something that happened at one point in time. It's a story that you get to tell, because that's what it is, really. It's going to be a future story for you to tell, like we were talking about with Journey to Japan. It's going to be a future nostalgia. Okay, Princess says we're like 2 years because I've still have to figure out if I'm trying for a PhD or not. Yeah, okay, that's fair. So these are things you can figure out, but always be taking the long view. Here's one thing I want to just kind of, well, I need to put this in the back of your head. And maybe this is just me and my inner rebel coming out, but I have noticed some things. I've noticed that when I tried to do things the way everybody wanted me to do it, because I wanted to make them happy, first of all, I wasn't happy. That's one of the main messages of The Alchemist, because they talk about living your personal legend. You have a legend that you need to live out. And if you aren't living it, then your life will feel empty. That you might have great success in whatever you do, but still there'll be an emptiness inside if you don't live out your legend, the one you were designed for. Nobody asks about what you were designed for. My parents never asked me that. Nobody does. We will here. We will actually, you know what? We're not going to ask you to tell us that. We're going to ask you what you think it is and try and find it. We've been talking about that on Double Cup of Joe this week. We've been talking about purpose. And that's the same thing. It's living your personal legend. So the key isn't your success financially. The key is your fulfillment, your happiness. That's where it truly is, right? So here's the thing. Here's the other part of that. If you do what other people want you to do because they think they know what's best for you, or because it's just what they want to have happen, a couple things happen. One, at least in my life, when I ever did that, because I've done it with multiple people that I was close to, I've tried to live my life to make them happy. I found I was unhappy to the point of breaking, like having nervous breakdown type mentality, breaking if it goes long enough. The other thing I found out is if you do those things, if you start to set up the pattern that I'm going to do what you tell me to do because you told me, it's never going to be good enough for them. They're always going to find something wrong with it. You're never going to do it perfectly. And so they're always going to be pointing out your errors. At least that's what happened to me. I'm just talking about my personal experience. This is what happened to me. I tried to live that way, right? What I found was I never did it good enough for them. They were always trying to be my coach and tell me all the things I was doing wrong. They don't know how to be a coach, because a coach brings out the best in someone. But what they're doing is they're just pointing out all my failures and trying to tell me, like they're doing right now, right? This habit is not going to change if you continue down this path, right? So, but it's just going to get worse, because you're going to feel unfulfilled, and you're going to be doing this thing. You're going to be trying to make them happy. And you're like, I'm doing this all for you. And you're just more and more unhappy with my performance. Like, what in the heck? And you go down this path, and then finally you start to break. Okay, I just started to, sorry, I keep putting you in there. I'm sorry, but that's what I experienced. It's never good enough for them. They're going to continue to point out my errors. And in the end, I'm unfulfilled. And you know what happens when I found out that when I follow my personal legend, you know, what's interesting is my life doesn't necessarily always turn out the way I thought it was going to. It definitely doesn't turn out the way other people thought it was going to. But I feel a lot better inside, and I have a lot more patience when people come to me and they try and tell me this stuff. Because I can just kind of take it, and I can be like, okay, hey, I really appreciate you telling me that. And I love them, because I know that it comes from a position of love from them. So be careful. If you start doing the things other people want you to do, there's a trap. You might be successful. You might make good money. And from their eyes, and interestingly enough, what'll happen is you'll get there. You'll have the success that they envisioned for you. And then you'll be unfulfilled and unhappy and all frustrated and upset. And they'll be like, what's wrong with you? You got everything. You got all this success. What's your problem? And at that point, it's going to be really hard to bite your tongue and not say something like, because I did what you wanted me to do, not what I wanted to do. So get out of my face. Like, you know, like that's the thing. Like, it frustrates me, because I've been there. So 2 keys, the long view, and the other one that I haven't talked about yet, and I'm not going to talk about very much because you've heard us talk about it a zillion and a half times. Forgiveness. They don't know. Remember the words of Jesus. Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. He said that as he was dying.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that about the people who had nailed him to the cross and put him up there. And he said those words while he was dying. In imitation of Christ, we can do the same thing. You say, forgive them. And I can forgive them, because they don't know. They're just ignorant. They think they're doing the right thing. But they don't, but they're not. And they just don't know any better. And that's okay. And about this time, you start to learn your parents are people too, and they don't get everything right all the time. All parents, we want what's best for our kids. We want what we think is best for our kids. And we're not perfect. And it's okay. So, Princess, I hope some of that was helpful. Ryan, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I thought that was it was really, really good what you said. All of that was really, really good. One thing I want to talk on just a tad bit longer. So obviously, like Joe said, take this with a whole huge sack of salt. Don't be a rebel just to be a rebel.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna break the psyche down just a little bit for everyone here. When you do what others are telling you to do, it gives them control. It gives them the illusion of control over your life. That's going to program them to think that they can control you, and their desire to control you will increase.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Their desire to control you are feeding their addiction.
Mm-hmm.
When you listen to what they're saying and you're doing what they're saying, they just want more and more and more control. And that's why no matter what you do, it will never be enough. It will be no matter, because why? Because you aren't fulfilling them. That's what they want from you. When they're asking you to do something and they're telling you what path to go on, they want you to do it because inside that makes them think they feel good. They think that you doing that will make them feel good inside. And then when it doesn't, they're let down and they blame it on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they don't think it was their advice that was wrong. They think you did their advice wrong.
Right. On top of that, here's what's interesting. Here's the worst of it. When you do that, every time you do that, you have to be a judge for yourself. Are they trying to control me for their own self-fulfillment? Are they trying to control me because that will make them happy? Are they trying to tell me what to do because that will make they think that will make my life better, and then that will make them feel good? If that is the case, right, then you can think about this kind of stuff. If that's not the case, if you can't judge whether that's the case or not, then everything we're saying right now, don't just go out and practice it, because we don't need to be rebels just to be rebels. We have to listen to our parents. They're smart.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But one last thing is interesting is when you just blindly listen to them, not only does it not fulfill them and then give them more desire to control you, it also causes them to lose respect for you.
Mm.
You can lose respect over and over and over and over to a point where they just have zero respect for you at all. That happens because they have no reason to respect you. You haven't done anything great that they haven't suggested. You've never done anything. It was all them the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
They don't respect you. They respect themselves. How do you get the respect back? You go your own way. Now, there's a difference between the song and I did it my way and go your own way. There's a difference, all right? You have obviously all of this you have to take all of it with a big band of salt, or a big bag of salt, because you have to judge whether this is correct in your situation or not.
Mm-hmm.
But to gain others' respect, you have to stand up for what's right.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stand up for what's good.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stand up when something is wrong. You have to stand up when you have to be brave. And you have to deny them from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting, because most people think that you gain people's respect by being 100% in their favor, doing everything how they think would be good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not true.
No.
That's, for some reason, we as humans know better. We just do. Our respect doesn't work that way. We respect those who have earned it through hard times, who have earned it through standing up against all odds, or against themselves, or against even us. I know there are times when other people have not listened to me, and then me coming to respect them for that, because I realize it took courage. and they were trying to do what was right. And they stuck to their word. And I was like, yeah, I can't do anything but respect that. Even if I'm upset that my way didn't turn out, I have to be honest and say, wow, they know what they're talking about. They did what they said they were going to do. And I just respect that. When you are a person of powerful dignity that no one can deny, when you are a person of your word, when you are a person that radiates and emits holiness, when you are a person enters a room and they go, that is a person of character, right? You demand respect, and not in a bad way. You walk into a room and people just respect you. Yep. Because they know
you don't have to even say anything.
You don't have to say anything. The way you move, the way you walk, everything about you just says, this is a person who I respect. This is a person I could follow. Part of respecting something is being willing to follow it. You can't follow someone who's taking your every order. They're only ever behind you. Mm-hmm. Respecting someone requires that person is going somewhere that you can follow, that you can choose to follow. They have qualities in them that you don't yet have, and you want those. That makes us respect people. Mm-hmm. So part of respect is having that, I will follow that person. That's why in marriage, we're supposed to respect each other, right? I would follow that person and they would follow me. Wherever we have strengths, wherever we have weaknesses, we can work together. We can follow each other's lead. I know that she won't lead me the wrong way. I know that he won't lead me the wrong way. That's respect. So you kind of got to go your own way sometimes, but you got to it's not that you have to just do what other people aren't doing. It's just that you have to stand for something. And people can't see that when all you ever do is listen to them and take every word they say. And that includes us. You know? Mm-hmm. That includes us. Here at VSS. We love you no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's awesome. But yeah, you become respectful when it's like, wow, I want to be like that. Right? And you have qualities in you that I wish I had. So I respect you in that. Mm-hmm. I respect the way that you have such commitment, like Joe was talking about. It's incredible. You know what you're doing when it comes to like an activity. You're like, I'm going to do this, and you do it, right? I respect that. Why? Because it shows character. It's good habit. It's good practice. It's a good way to be a human being. Mm-hmm. So on that note, I hopefully that gave you some information, some way to think about and how to navigate your relationships in that and going through all of this. I understand it's tough, and a lot of it is just endurance. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I got.
Easy times do not make strong people. You are in strength training right now, Princess. And I am so proud of you. Mm-hmm. Because it's not easy. But enduring hardships and struggle like that builds strength. And maybe, like Ryan was talking about, you're going to be one of those people that when you walk into a room, the whole everybody in there just knows. You kind of command the respect of the room just when you enter it. You don't have to say anything. It's just when you walk in. This circumstance, along with other painful ones, are going to be the building blocks of that. Because through this, you're going to find out who you are. You're going to find out what you will stand for. And like Ryan was talking about, when you're going to stand on something, when you're going to stand up for yourself, when you're going to stand up for what you believe in, in all things. When the amazing thing about taking the long view is it smooths things out so you can stay calm for one, and be respectful to them even when you disagree. You can respect them as a person, you can love them, but you don't have to agree with them because they just maybe don't know. And it's amazing when you keep your cool and everyone else around you is losing their marbles. Like, first of all, it's frustrating for them. But you show in those moments when you keep your cool and stay respectful to them, even when you stand in disagreement with their point of view. That is one tremendous way for the respect level to go up in their eyes, their respect for you. Because they're going to realize it's like, okay, this person is unflappable, right? They're throwing all kinds of stuff at you. Like they were expecting you to get emotionally hijacked 15 minutes ago, and yet you're still standing there. You're not changing your mind, and you're not being disrespectful, and you're not joining the emotional hijacking. That's tremendous. That's an incredible show of strength. And I think, a lot of that will come from faith. A lot of that will come from experiencing this type of thing. I mean, it's all a growing experience, and you're going to do fine. So anyway, Princess, yeah, I'm with Ryan. I hope some of that is helpful for you. I would definitely go back and listen to the stuff Ryan said, at least, especially in the first segment. Oh my gosh.
Go back and listen to all of it. Joe said awesome stuff too.
I said a bunch of words. And
me too.
And get The Alchemist. In fact, if it's because you can't afford it, well, I don't know what we got to do, but find a way to get The Alchemist. Great book, and it's going to help with you understand. There's this one point, like probably about 3/4 toward the end, where he talks about what happens to you. The one of the characters is faced with, do I continue on my journey toward my personal legend, or do I stay and enjoy the success that I have here because things are looking really good for me right now. I've got all this great stuff going for me and everything, and I could stay and be completely happy, or I could continue on this journey that's probably going to be difficult toward my personal legend. And he explains exactly what happens to a person that quits and sticks with, and doesn't follow what they're designed to do. It's very profound. So
it's kind of like, don't settle for less just because it will make someone else happy.
Yeah. Or even if you think you're going to be, even if you think you're going to be content there, because when you don't fulfill the thing that's in your heart that's burning, the thing that God gave you to do, you're not fulfilled. I've said it to many, many people, and Princess, thank you so much for the post. We talked for a while on this, but I just want to say this to everybody. You were designed here and you were put here for a purpose. You are figuring out your purpose just as every single one of us is. This is a lifelong archaeology project, right? We are a project that will last our entire lives. And detecting and living out our purpose. It's not enough to achieve the success gained by our purpose. We need to live it out. That's the important part. It's not really all the things I'm going to get, the successes I'm going to have, all the trappings and the fruits of it, all that could be very, very wonderful, but that's not what it's about. What it's about is living your life the way you're supposed to, the way that you were designed to, and you have a specific programming in you that's unlike anybody else. You have a life that you're supposed to live, and nobody else can tell you what that is, because nobody's inside your head except for you. Nobody's inside your heart.
And God.
So I and God. Yeah. In fact, he's the one who's going to tell it to you, frankly, because he's the one who designed you. We can discuss that on Theology Thursday Throwdown or something. But yeah,
Come to theaters near you.
coming to
Not true, but maybe someday.
Maybe at one point we're gonna.
We keep on talking about it.
We do. It's gonna happen probably. I'm sure. So anyway, thank you so much. You know what? We are to the point where I don't know if anybody else is here.
Yeah.
That had the topic, and we're almost at the 2-hour mark anyway. So
it's kind of like what we had to do sometimes, just like let a topic run really long because we don't have any topics after it anyway. So
yeah,
it's kind of all right.
Well, and not only that, but it was an amazing topic. Like
yeah, it was one that you could really go into. So
Holy cow, Princess! Thank you. Like that was profound. Because it's so fitting for so many people, and I think all of us have had those challenges. It's not always our parents. Sometimes it's a spouse. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes it's boss. Sometimes it could be any type of figure in your life that that has some kind of influence with you, and they're trying to push you down a certain path, because that and it's dangerous when they think it's because they think it's what's best, right? They're not doing this to hurt you. They're doing this because they think it's going to help you. But deep down, that if you do what they say you're going to, if they do it, blah, 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 blah. If I can learn to talk ever, it'd be great. But if
don't ask me how to do it,
it'll hurt you.
Yeah.
But they don't know. They think it's going to be good for you. So that's tough.
Okay, Tara has a bonus topic. What if we bring up a bonus topic of asking Ryan what coffee he would drink if he knew for a fact that he was going to breathe it in and at some point? Well then, I really don't have a preference. I mean, any coffee's fine. If I'm gonna have to breathe it in, I'm gonna have to breathe it in. I guess coffee that isn't spicy. Not that that's the thing. Hopefully coffee that isn't burning hot, and it's just like maybe 100 or 120, but that'd be nice. I don't want it to be cold, and I don't want it to be too hot. So just like body temperature, that'd be nice. My preferences aren't about the coffee, are they? Coffee that tastes good, because I'm gonna have to be coughing it back up into my mouth a lot. So
what if it could be anything? Would it always be coffee?
No, of course I'd pick water.
You'd pick water?
Yeah.
What
or
about
liquidized oxygen. No, I'm just kidding. That would actually kill me.
What about ruby red squirt?
That sounds painful. Was it, Joe?
I don't know. I just know. I was just trying to think of the sharpest, fizziest pop I could think of.
Yeah, ruby red squirt
or Vernors, which nobody outside of the Midwest probably knows what Vernors
so
is.
Vernors, I would rather breathe in Vernors than ruby red squirt.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Vernors.
Vernors, and you kind of end up breathing it anyway. Anytime you drink it, you kind of end up breathing the.
There is no variation of Vernors that tastes anything like Vernors. They call it a
it's ginger
ale. A ginger ale. It is a type of soda pop, carbonated beverage, a bubbly, whatever the other word for it.
Yeah. Flavored with ginger.
Sorry, a Coke if you're from Texas. Yeah, it's ginger ale, but Vernors is a very specific style of ginger ale that no one else makes. I've had ginger ale from many different places. Nothing is the same as at all as Vernors.
I've had ginger ale from microbreweries that brew their own, like they brew their own beer at these places,
Yeah,
and they also make their own ginger ale, and it's so good.
it
But
is.
it's still not Vernors.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like Vernors,
Not the same.
but it's good. Just doesn't taste like Vernors.
Mhm. Yep. Vernors is what Midwestern moms give to their kids when they're sick.
Yes, because Vernors actually. So here's the thing. I don't know if it's true anymore, but Vernors used to be made with carbon that is burned off of chalk. And so you had particles of chalk naturally inside of your Vernors.
Hmm.
So the Vernors would actually act as a anti-septic and what are those called?
Antacid.
Antacid, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Vernors is an antacid, so it helps calm the stomach. But it doesn't really do anything for sickness. But all the moms give you it for sick when you're sick. My mom did too.
Vernors. Makes you cough.
Does it? Oh, it can, yeah.
Because the bubble, because the fizz, like the
the fizz
it's
is
amazing.
really...
The fizz is so fizzy, like it bubbles up off the top of the. It's like.
Oh yeah, when you pour a glass. So when you pour a glass of like Coke or Pepsi, that happens. When you do it with Vernors, it's like you have no chance of not getting it all. Like you remove your cup later, and you're like, "What happened to the counter?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I poured Vernors earlier." Like. It is crazy.
Yep. And so you end up, so anytime you take a drink of it, you got all these bubbles like flying into your nose and into your mouth.
Oh yeah, every time. Yeah. In your nose. You're like, what is going on up here? Wait. No, it's true. It's true.
Yep. So that's what you should inhale.
Yeah, there you go.
Or here's another one that nobody else will know. Faygo.
Actually, Faygo does exist outside of Michigan.
Really?
And I think Idaho, maybe even Wisconsin. But that's only in the recent like 10 or 20 years. It didn't before that.
Yeah, that's been a Detroit product for
Detroit.
forever.
Yeah, Faygo.
Made down in the
All
D,
sorts of Faygo.
Yep.
You got some Faygo up in where Senna lives in Hyrule now as well. So I think they've really expanded their territory, Faygo. Oh, Homestuck made Faygo popular. Okay.
Tennessee, huh?
Yeah, Tennessee.
Yeah, they got it down in Tennessee now. Yeah, that was a Michigan only thing forever.
For a very, very long time, even when I was a kid.
Never. Yep.
Yeah.
Michigan only, and now it's finally getting out to the rest of the world. That's cool.
That's interesting.
Because it's glorious. There's so many different flavors. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, plenty. And then there's oh geez, I just forgot the name of it. Jones soda. Have you ever had it?
Yes, Jones is great.
Yeah, Jones is.
Oh, Jeff has the history lesson. Good job. Thanks,
Jeff, you're amazing.
In the late 1960s. What? No way.
Wow.
During the Detroit Tigers games. Well, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, at any rate, I think we're beyond the 2-hour mark now. Yep. So thank you guys so much for being here. We've talked about all kinds of stuff, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We've got one from Cherry, and we've got a whole list of some other ones from people who haven't been here in a long time. So it'll be interesting to see what Monday looks like.
Yeah. If you guys get feeling like for some reason you're just like, man, I should put that on as a topic. And don't worry, say, nah. No, do it. Because otherwise they're gonna be sitting here no more Wednesday.
We totally can come up with topics to talk about. Me and Ryan can talk forever on stuff, you know.
That's true.
And in fact, if it'll just be like a continuation of Double Cup of Joe, because next week on Double Cup of Joe we're talking about action, which is a super duper important topic. And I'm telling you, like that, whoa. That we talked about purpose this week. That's like the predecessor, because you got to have your mind right. You got to know all that kind of stuff. But for your purpose to be real, it takes action.
Yes, Akil, I'm challenging you. Make a topic.
Nice.
Joan Soda, yeah, your favorite on this awesome Senna.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my girl. She knows what Joan Soda is. Okay, she's not my girl, guys. I lied about that. I don't. We're not associated. She's like more like a sister than mine. I don't own her. She's not. She's Senna TM copyright by herself.
Haley just did the Alka-Seltzer commercial.
Oh my gosh.
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is.
Jeez.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So come on Monday to Don't Muddle Monday. Come to Double Cup of Joe show Monday morning. We're going to talk about Action Jackson. No, not actually. But it's going to be awesome.
And we
Because,
got our
yeah,
weekend streams also on Twitch.
weekend streams.
Feel free to join
Go
us
to
there.
Twitch. I want to be there. I never can make it because I've always got all my family stuff crammed into the weekends.
Yep.
And so
That's
I'm
good, though.
never available on the weekends. Like everything else gets shut off, and I'm there with my kids and my wife and everything. So, but yeah. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Have a wonderful time. Go to bss.studio. If you have a topic, post it. If you don't, come back on Monday and see what we have to talk about. I guess it's gonna be fun. But anyway, we love you guys a lot, and we'll see you next time right here
Bye, guys.
on Don't Fret Friday.
Or
Muddle
don't muddle Monday. I guess that's the
Or
next time.
Don't Worry Wednesday, or wherever we see you.
Peace.
Love you guys.
Love you too, guys.